All right, so another little quick one I want to throw out here. I've mentioned this guy a couple times because he's like my star number one guy that I've dealt with, and that is Rodger. And it's Rodger with a D, not with a G or the DG instead of GER. I always mix that up when I'm talking to dude or when I'm trying to text him or whatnot. But Rodger back in 2018, I believe, was the first person who ever came to me with the full price of an engine block. It happens more often nowadays, but back then it didn't happen very often at all. So he was the first person who ever came to me with the full amount of cash asking price for a block. And I think what happened was, or not I think, but later on what happened, he got the, he got the block, he received the block, he did an unboxing for me, he did a first startup video for me, he did some street pulls for me. So this is like a dream matchup for me. I'm always looking for somebody who can do their own work, do it in a timely manner, and all that good stuff, and get some results back. So I think a month or so after taking it out to the races or whatnot, we started having some issues where we were blowing smoke or whatnot, and I think losing power. So what could it be? Getting thrown back and forth, and then eventually we tried to rule out a bunch of different ideas. I'm like, well, look, it seems to me like you might have lost a ringland, and we weren't 100% sure. And the only way to be sure is to fucking pull this shit out. So eventually got around to it and, pulling out the pistons and rods, and yeah, we'd lost a ringland. Now, I constantly stress all the time, and I know that Nippon Racing is increasing they are increasing their power rating, and I would like to eventually get to the point where when I can get to the point where I can rotate through cars more often and I can get things tested, that I can, stress test some shit myself personally. But it is pretty common, it's a pretty common theme when these pistons fail. It's usually losing a ringland. So generally speaking, I like to say, like, you're buying a budget piston, so use it for a budget build. Like, the pistons are great for up to 500. Those are the majority of the builds I do are the 500 horsepower blocks. So those are great. I love those pistons. I use them all the time. But if you want big power, those are not the pistons to go with, not the ones I'm going to recommend. Like, I know that some of their pistons are getting rated at 650 horsepower, and Jesse would probably not approve of me saying this, but it is what it is, man. Guys, I'm covering my own ass in this situation too, where let's just not. If you want to come to me and you're asking for a short block that you want to make 600-700 horsepower off of, get forged pistons. It's a couple $100 extra. It'll make me feel better. It'll make you feel better. It's great. But anyway, not to go on a rant too long about that. Lost a ringland. Now, the tuner is a reputable tuner. I checked his IG out and whatnot. They did a street tune. They didn't do a dyno tune. But based on, what the tuner was saying, he's experienced before with a similar build, they thought they may have been in the mid to high 600s, possibly. I'm not 100% sure. Whatever. We don't know because we never saw dyno numbers. But we lost a ringland. So the theory is definitely that it was making too much power for those pistons, especially for it to fail as quick as it did. I think, like I said, like a month or so of using it. So I don't know how many times with the weekends, maybe 4 weekend trips, maybe less. I don't know. But out of all the time using Nippon Racing pistons on all these blocks I've done, never had one fail that fast. So like again, say we think that there was just too much power involved in that situation. Now, because Lewis has been a fucking champion customer, it makes me want to support him. So, and I talked about this before, maybe like half a year ago or whatnot, but talking about it again because we're getting closer to this car being completed. So the original idea was to always upgrade. So that Nippon Racing short block was always going to be a temporary thing, but it was just to get in the car, enjoy the car while the real project was being built. So when I went to HD, I have some 81.5 millimeter turbo B series pistons, and like I said, I'm moving away from the B series. I've still got other things I'm working with. I'm not concerned on using them, and because they were a gift, I didn't want to sell them to anybody. So I found this as an opportunity to try and help Lewis out. I was like, look, send me back the block, and send me back the the rods, and we'll use these new pistons, and we'll get you squared away with a new block, and I'll put together a new block for you. I was like, I'll give you the pistons, and I'll put it together a new engine for you and send it out, and I'm just going to charge you the cost of the machine work and stuff like that. I'm not going to charge you for anything. So I think we eventually came to a decision where I was going to just get a new block. So I gave him my price on a block that I had already with a block guard in it. And of course, like I said, we took it to the machine shop and got that sorted out. Now, it took a long time for it to come back from the machine shop because I used my local guy. But anyway, it came back and we got that sorted out, got the block assembled and sent out. Now, we're still not exactly where we want to be because, the block guard for me is not a thing that I like to use. I like to consider it for me, I consider that a stock bore engine block. Now, could that block guard help it to eventually, to potentially make more power? Possibly. But because we had a failure with the last one, I stressed with Lewis to keep this one super safe. No more than 550 horsepower, and please, by all means, do tune this on a fucking dyno, so that way we know it's 550 wheel horsepower, and we just keep it there. And because I'm doing better now, like I'm making more money, VHB Engines is making more money, I've already told him that when the time comes, I will do a full sponsorship for the short block, and I will give him a CSS short block. And hopefully, because this car is an all-wheel drive car, that's why he's taking so long this time around, is because he went with an all-wheel drive setup. And the all-wheel drive setup he's going with is an S1 kit, S1 built kit. I think he went S1 built across the board to do the all-wheel drive setup. Now, I know there's some controversy about S1 built, but I fully support it, and I talk about that in another video. Just in case you're watching this one before that one, you can go watch the other one. But yeah, so he's got an S1 built all-wheel drive setup, and we are in the last legs of Lewis getting his car together. Now, the reason why I talk about this is because I want to stress again, I am constantly looking for people I can potentially sponsor. Now, my criteria for people I'm going to sponsor, first off, you have to be a customer with me once, because I'm not going to get burned by somebody who's going to come through, tell me they're doing something, and then take off and I get nothing out of it. All right. For me to spend money on you getting a block from me, you have to be showing me results. I need to get footage back from you. We need to be in regular contact, right? The only way I can trust that you're going to be, worthy of doing that is to come to me as a customer first, buy a block, get the block, give me, give me an unboxing, give me a shout out on Instagram, give me a shout out on Facebook or whatever. And then get the car, get together and running and driving and shit. We should give me dyno footage. Send me pictures of the graph. Send me videos of street pulls. Show me that you're out there doing work with this. That way I can point to people and go say, hey, look, that's my work. Would you want one too? So if you want a sponsorship, Rodger's way is the way to go about it. Even when Rodger, lost the Ringland, he didn't go all apeshit crazy trying to blame me. He's like, oh, you fucking built this fucking thing wrong or whatnot. The fact that it popped the Ringland actually was one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, I was okay with that, because at least now we know what happened. We know what happens when those Ringlands fell on those particular pistons. As a matter of fact, I had another situation where I bought a short block from somebody who also said that they were making like 600-700 horsepower, or they claimed it, and they said that they were blowing a lot of smoke, so they blew a head gasket. It turns out when I pulled the engine apart, it was different racing pistons on scat rods, and they blew a Ringland. So that's, and I've heard Kyle from Boosted Boys also mention it too, that it's a pretty common failure for the cast pistons that they blow a Ringland. So the Nippon Racing pistons are fucking fantastic. They are amazing on the price, and they are amazing that the power that they can put up for that price. The fact that you can get $220-some pistons or $240 pistons and make 500 wheel horsepower is fucking awesome. But guys, we're living in an age where people are just making all kinds of power, so everybody just wants to push it to the moon, and these aren't that kind of pistons. These are not the pistons you want to do that on. So again, like I said, I talked to Rodger, because Rodger gave me a shout out he let me know that his car made it to the S1 build page on Instagram, and so I'm like, this is again, S1 built, like whether you love him or hate him, whatever, this is still a pretty big company in the industry, and now a car powered by my short block just got showcased. So that's great, So I'm super supportive of stuff like that. This is the reason for me, this is what makes me want to be able to sponsor somebody. Now I have another B20 block that I'm going to be putting together tonight. And he also says that he races, and he's got a whole team of them. And I also have another guy, the guy who bought the high compression B20 the other day on the sale. he's got multiple shells, and he's going to put that car together. And once he does that, he has other engines he wants to bring to me to build. It might be one of those things where, because I had a discount price at that time, depending on how things go, I might offer a discount for the next build if I get back results from him, like video footage and stuff. And then if it's if he comes back to me for a rebuild, I give him a discount on the rebuild, and then he wants to come to me for another one, I might do that one for free, just because, like, at that point, like, if you're showing me footage, that's advertisement that I love. Because the fact that I have multiple videos on here, that with my cars, or cars running with my engines, it's always, what have you done for me lately? You're always as good as, or as relevant as your last build. So if I only get 1 or 2 running engines back on footage, one or two engines a year, despite how many I'm actually selling, then people are always going to be questioning whether or not I'm actually worthwhile at what I'm doing, which is another thing that's great, with the S2000, because I'm going to be rebuilding that engine. Hopefully that'll put a fucking stopper on something. Oh, and the fact that I just got, another fucking video of the Integra running. Now it runs like ass, because, again, like, the car, I've had the car for 6 fucking years and never had it on the road. 6 fucking years. That swap has been in and out of that car 3 times. So, the last time I put fresh gas in it before the other day was in 2019. And the time before that was 2000, never. I never put fuel in it. So, this got a whole quarter tank of fuel. I've only ever put 2 gallons in the thing. So, the majority of gasoline sitting in that engine tank, or that gas tank, is extremely old. So, that's probably one of my biggest things, because the last time I started the car, it ran choppy, but it wasn't as hard to stay on as it was the other day. So there, it just goes to show you right there. But yeah, so if you're thinking about a sponsorship, that's the way to go about it. You have to be a customer first. Prove to me that you're worth me investing my time and potentially money into. So again, like I said, as good as the business does, it makes it easier for me to help with Rodger. Now, the rest of my money, my free money, is going to be tied up this year in doing the S2000, or at least it's going to be tied up for the next 3 or 4 months, 4 to 6 months, because I want that car to be done by the end of the summer. And when I say done, I mean like turbo and tune done, not suspension wise done. So the S2000 is going to be taking a good deal of my side money, and the Integra will probably take the rest. So this year is kind of hard for me to be able to give sponsor anything besides labor. Now, if I do good business with somebody, and you want to come back around later on, try and get some sponsor, then what I could probably do is sponsor labor. And then if you need me to provide parts, I can provide you parts at my cost, and I can help out like that. But now with Rodger's a special case, where Rodger's already shown the ability to give me footage. Rodger's already shown the competency to get his car running. And so I've already gave him, the free parts for the rebuild, the free labor. And when we go to do the next one, my goal is to give him a CSS B18, even if it's out of pocket. And then hopefully, we can find some sponsors for that build for the pistons and rods. So yeah, we'll see how things go. If everything works out well with the S2000, I think it's going to make the channel really big. And of course, the more eyeballs here, the more potential customers, the more money we can make. And then we can start doing more of this race content shit that you guys really want to see. All right, guys, so just some food for thought. Social media links are in the description down below, and peace.